Hey everybody, welcome to ProducerHax, a game dev podcast where we talk about games, the games industry, and whatever else we feel like talking about. It is Monday, August 8th, here in Edmonton. My name is Blair. As always, I'm here with...
Billy.
Yay, we're video game producers. That's what we do.
We pretend to be, at least. We play video game producers on
We attempt
YouTube.
to fool people into keeping us at a job.
Yes.
Yes.
So far successful.
Might have heard some games we made. Dragon Age, Mass Effect.
A couple small indie titles.
Some small indie titles. It's just like that Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, so
yeah.
we got to start this. So we should talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to have questions from the chat today because we kind of didn't have a topic. We can also answer, so if somebody wants to ask us like what a producer does, we can talk about it as well.
Yeah.
But as usual, it is Monday or it is Sunday or it is just podcast.
It's just a day.
It's just a day.
Day that ends in Y. Yep.
What were you doing last week? What were you playing? What was good?
Playing mostly Destiny. Played a bit of NHL, the beta, before I think it's done now.
When does Path of Iron come out?
Rise of Iron?
Sure.
September 20th. So...
Oh, still a while.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part.
I thought it was like this month because I've seen guys like Goth and stuff being like getting ready for Path of Iron or Rise of Iron.
Yeah, it's just more prepping.
So
I think
it was like next
it's
week.
all the hype building up for it, and then September 20th. And then for me is my two main games is NHL and Destiny. It's NHL launches on the 13th. Destiny a week later, as always does. It is just turmoil for me. Every mid-September for the last 3 years has been insane.
Yep.
Just stupid.
Yep.
And before that, we got No Man's Sky tonight.
Tonight you'll be on that.
I'm gonna probably take
early
a nap.
the stream.
Take a nap right after the podcast.
We're gonna try to end right at like 9:20, 9:30.
Yeah. Nail this. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's nothing really. Hey,
Yeah.
just the normal,
the usual stuff. I'll have some news. I don't know if it's gone out. I haven't seen it, but there'll be some news. Probably tonight/tomorrow, I think.
Oh yeah, that thing you told me about. That's gonna be super awesome.
Super cool. I should talk to you, depending on how your schedule looks like. See if you want to be part of that too.
Fuck
we gotta
yeah.
figure out a way to get a group together. And there's a few folks in the chat I think they'll be reaching out to as well. But that's exactly it. Stardust Shadow has mentioned it. That's the thing I'm thinking of, is that we got to find a way
to get me through some raids.
Go through like Vault of Glass.
Oh yeah.
Crow's
Yeah,
End,
because
and maybe
Rob
eventually
Tachi's talking about. Yeah, this is the last time to get your two book complete.
Yeah, Moments of Triumph. And I think the thing is, it's a charity event. That's all I can say for right now. But it's a very cool charity event put on by very awesome people.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be huge.
My shift is 24 hours before I get on a plane.
To go to DestinyCon?
Almost to the minute, yeah. Before I go to DestinyCon. So,
and when you're at DestinyCon, are you Kong? Yes, when you're at
DestinyCon, that's an epic.
Are you going to be live streaming? You're going to be periscoping? You're going to be video logging?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to keep people in the loop with Billy?
I think it's going to be Periscope. I've set up my account. Everything is ready to go. I'm bringing at least one laptop, possibly two, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring my PS4. I'm actually thinking I might bring this one and get it signed by a whole bunch of folks. I think that'd be kind of cool. So, and then I brought these markers, so I got a bunch of like Destiny shirts and shit like that I want to get signed by the community. These are the special...
your Alien Invasion shirt just started printing.
Yeah, that was an interesting bit. It was supposed to end tonight. It was supposed to end tonight, like in 15 minutes. Instead, last night I went and tried to like order mine so I wouldn't get to this point tonight and be like, oh shit, I didn't order it, and then like, what, you don't order the one you ask other people to buy, and then so I ordered it, and then all of a sudden the tweet happened, and it's like, this ends in 15 minutes. I'm like, and my wife just saw like the blood drain out of my face. I was sitting on the couch, and she's like, "What's wrong? What happened? Like, did we miss a mortgage payment or something?" Like, no, my shirt. And she's like, "Huh? It's fine." I'm like, "Not this one. The one."
Yeah. Are you gonna do another shirt for TwitchCon?
This was supposed to be it. And I think I have to put it live for another week.
You got to do the re-kick. Or whatever, right?
I think I got to do one more. I didn't want to do this. I really wanted it to end tonight, but given the fuck up, I think I'm going to put it live again tomorrow, and have it end on like next Sunday. So if you didn't get a chance to buy it and you want to buy it, it should be live.
And you will be streaming No Man's Sky tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping to stream tonight.
For people just joining the stream, I'm not streaming tonight, nor Veronica, but Alien will be. So stop by and check out No Man's Sky. See what the hype's all about.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it towards the end of the stream too, like what we're doing next. But tomorrow I took the entire day off. I took a day off from time off. amazing, right? I'm trying to go super meta here. So normally, time off right now means, taking care of baby, taking care of toddler, helping out wife with life. But my daughter's like very attached to her friends, and we've noticed it. We're like, she's detached right now. She's like bored almost, right? She's like, she likes hanging out with her parents, but she's 3, so like almost 3. So she's missing her friends, and so she's gonna spend the day at daycare tomorrow, hanging out with friends. My wife's gonna go do some stuff that she wants to do just on her own.
You're saying thugging.
Some thugging. She's gonna fuck it up, man. She's going down to White Ave and she busts some chops, right? And
get that rage out.
Yeah, she's like, I fucking can't stand this belly anymore.
Yeah. And cabin fever.
Choke a bitch.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but she's gonna do that, which means I'm free all day tomorrow to stream.
Cool.
Hopefully, No Man's Sky. And if it sucks, Destiny.
Maybe not sucks is the right word.
Just not if it's
not your jam.
If it's not what if it's not what I kind of hope it might be. I don't think it's gonna get into that problem, but I'm curious to see how it's gonna stream. I didn't watch their stream. I know you mentioned.
Yeah, I watched the Hello Game stream today. To me, it was the same as all the gameplay previews I saw before, and it's just not for me. It's never into Minecraft. I'm not into those collect resources and build a thing or survive. That's not really my wheelhouse, so I'm not going to spend $80 to risk it.
Yeah, it is $80
unless everybody's like, this is awesome, then I'll jump in. So.
Yeah, I pulled the trigger, and it's downloaded, so it's ready to go tonight. But I'm very aware right now that there's still that outside chance that I was not necessarily a naysayer, but I was the one who was kind of going like, guys, all the things that you think it's going to be and how it's going to change the world, I don't think it's going to do those things. Yeah, like all the things that they're trying to do are things that even Mass Effect 1 tried to do and couldn't. And that was a team of 150, 180 people at the time. Could not achieve that goal.
But procedurally generated.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is procedurally generated always comes at the expense of quality.
Here's the thing.
It's just unfortunately
when you have something to be when something's random, it has a random chance of being shitty.
Yes, exactly. It has equal amounts of chance to be not what you want versus what it, even more so actually, that more chances that it will be not what you want than what it is you want.
Yes. Yep.
And that's a problem. So
but you'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
I'm sure millions of people are going to buy it and love it.
I think it's going to be a very, very interesting evening and day tomorrow, I think, for them. So but that's enough for me. What have you been up to for the past week? It's been about a week and a bit since we did the show.
Overwatch. So I was getting really, really, really into the competitive, even though I'm not like great or anything. But that's just like where I find the fun, or that's where my OCD or my addiction kind of leads me. It was the same thing with League of Legends, whether it's like, get in the loop, want to always level up. I like competitive stuff, so I'm just like, I was really into it, and the gameplay is ultra polished. The competitive loop is so tight. I'm just finding the matchmaking's kind of shitty right now. Lots of people are just leaving. I don't know if it's DCs or if it's actually like rage quitting. I didn't find this for like the last month, but now it's starting to get pretty bad. Like you'll jump into matchmaking and I'll be on a team of all solo players and I'll be against 2 groups of 3, and it's like, well, we're fucked, right? Like that kind of thing. So I'm kind of over that, so I don't think we're going to play that much on stream anymore. I'm probably going to jump into I actually have no idea what I'm going to play tomorrow. I want to get like a kind of like what I was doing before, like Dark Souls, and before Overwatch came out, which was like play game, beat it on stream. So I don't know. So we finished all the Dark Souls. We did Bloodborne. Maybe an indie title, maybe Bastion.
Beat No Man's Sky. It's a small indie title. I heard you can beat it
30
very
hours.
quickly. Yeah, very
30
quick,
hours. Yeah. Then they released the patch that was like, oh, here's the actual game.
Yeah, here's all the things.
So I don't know if somebody has any suggestions, like of a quick game to play or a long game like Witcher. I really need to get through. I never played that more than like 2 hours. So I don't know. I gotta get something going. I know Destiny, but for me, solo streaming much easier on the PC. Yeah, so I like to kind of keep it like that. But with you, I'll
we gotta go back to Destiny.
I gotta finish Destiny for sure. It's fun, but it's not like my favorite game.
It's tricky too, because I saw someone point this out a little while ago. I think it actually might have been Professor Broman who said like he was streaming and actually he was playing a mode in Destiny that would be beneficial to have TeamSpeak going on, right? Like, or Discord, right? And he basically just had himself and the whole group on mute the whole time, and everybody in his chat is like losing their mind, like, why are you not talking to them? Like, it's actually like it's Streamer House, and it's these other folks, and fairly well known streamers, and they want to chat with you. And I think it was even Ezekiel from who's fairly well known in the Twitch community, and he just said, like, look, here's the thing, I love chatting with my friends, but every once in a while you have to do a stream where it's just the streamer and the audience.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I could not agree with you more. And I stream a lot of times with my friends, but I think every once in a while I'll just do like one that's like it's just me.
Yeah.
It's just me nerding out, because it gives me more time to actually chat.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy.
Right? And
like that's why I always love my solo games.
Mm-hmm.
Like every now and then we'll jump in and we'll play with Drake or Mikochi, playing some Overwatch and stuff like that, and that's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I find though that I do start to lose track of what's happening in chat,
mm-hmm.
and for what I like to stream, that's not good for me. Yeah. I like to be very into the chat, talking with people what's going on, or just watching like Jeff talk with people, and then me just giving little comments here and there, because Jeff's actually the one streaming on my channel in my chat. So yeah, no, all the suggestions rolling in. Witcher 3 is pretty darn good. Yeah, it's it's amazing. It's a master class in cinematic storytelling.
I like what Megan mentions, the Tomb Raider. I've got both of them, and I haven't played them.
I have both of them as well,
and I keep meaning to.
And they're on
make
PC,
that happen.
and I can totally play them.
That's what I was gonna say. Like the solo games, as much as I don't play a lot of solo games anymore, I play a lot of, Destiny and PvP and PvE, like cooperative. I do miss every once in a while doing single player games, and I also find that single player is just more inherently available to chat with chat. Right?
I could finish Far Harbor.
I was gonna ask if you play Fallout 4 in a while, because I saw Nord asking me if I was still interested in Fallout 4, and I am. It's just trying to find time.
Yep.
So
no, it's on PS4, so I gotta. I gotta set it. It's just a bigger setup, but it's not too annoying if I plan it properly. Because Fallout 4 is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, butt hurts out of there.
Butt is butt hurt.
Butt is butt hurt. Yeah. Amy3MP. No, I only have it on PC, and I'm too far gone. So anyways, throw me some suggestions. I'll put a little Twitter poll up maybe.
Yeah.
Later, you guys throw it at me. But
MP, there you go.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible at that. So yeah, no, that's it for me this week. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, jump on your thing, just like playing with you, not streaming, obviously. And then,
no, I'd say if you want.
Oh yeah,
we should get something together and do things. So yeah, I gotta reach out. I was say maybe before we get into like the whole thing, but we had an interesting chat on Saturday. Because we're all planning to head down to TwitchCon.
I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter. We were hanging out with Miracle Worker and
Unsanity
what's
Live.
that other guy? Who's that? Who's that
Unsanity
super
Live.
famous guy from MSN?
Partner dude.
Tom at Unsanity Live, one of the first Twitch partners. Because we're all going to be at TwitchCon. We're trying to set up a meet.
Yeah.
Greet with anybody coming down. If you wanted to come hang out with us, we'll set a bar. Probably drop some Pokemon Go lures, just hang out, have some beers, maybe some food, and then wander off into the sunset. Or whatever.
Child predators use candy to lure kids to random places. We use lures to lure
fans.
Fans,
not fans,
places.
More like friends.
People.
We consider you guys friends.
Yeah, exactly.
So so we'll be doing that. It'll probably be the Friday night of TwitchCon. Still working out all the details, obviously. We have no idea what the plan is, but that's why Patrick Miracle Worker is helping us out.
Yeah, exactly right.
Hey man, if you could just plan this,
if you could just do there. All the things, we'll just show up.
Yeah, and buy him a beer. Yeah. There we go, problem solved.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun. Really excited for TwitchCon.
Yes.
Trying to get in shape for TwitchCon.
Totally. Got it.
I've been gaining weight, and I've been eating better, not drinking, and working out. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
When you say gaining weight, you mean scale or
scale?
Yeah, that's just muscle.
Yeah,
muscle is always heavier, but it's denser.
I need to add more stuff during the week. I do a lot with drums and stuff, but I don't throw in a bike ride or something.
Just stream a bike ride. You can do it from your phone. I
got the mobile thing for it now.
Just crash into shit and.
Yep.
For every donation, Blair launches off something.
I'll be like, actually, no, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. I was gonna say something, but that was kind of mean. What were we talking about? Okay, so if any of you have any questions about production, producing video games, anything like that, throw it into the chat. We'll talk about it. But to start, maybe so Pokemon Go did an update where they got rid of how far
the creatures
Pokemons are away from you. So I was walking around the big park right outside our place for 45 minutes with the pups.
Yeah.
Not a single Pokemon.
Not a single one. Yeah.
Not a single Pokemon.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
So I don't know what's going on, but
we've covered all 4 major parks in the area now. Just because, like, every morning we get up and we take the baby and our daughter for a walk, and she loves it. She goes for a walk.
Yep.
And everything, right? And I'm just sitting there with the phone in the stroller. I'm like, yeah, we got this. I'm gonna hatch some eggs, and nothing. It's a fucking barren wasteland. It's gross.
It had like little grayed out guys of like ones I didn't have, and I'm like, ooh, that's looks like a Scyther or something.
No. Yeah.
Nothing. So super annoyed by that. Super annoyed with their like community management or
lack thereof,
messaging or anything. Like, give me, why are you doing thing? Just be honest. Be like, yeah, servers overloaded. I had to pull this back. It's coming back in a week once we get such and such figured out. But then they also put a cease and desist on the guy who had the thing. It was pretty. To me, it read like what we called it out on the last podcast or the one before. It feels like they don't have a senior producer or a senior like creative director of game design running the program. It's more of we're making an app. We're not making a game, and they're two totally different things. This is what we talked about. There's no game pillars. There's no where's the fun other than walking around. Very frustrating. I haven't played it since I had that long walk, and I'm just like, and Sarah's like, I don't catch Pokemon anymore.
It's bleeding fans, and I think I've booted it up for the things where I'm already doing the things. I'm already going for a walk. I boot up
exactly,
and that's it. I don't ever boot up that app when I'm sitting in my living room anymore. I used to, because I'll sit there for a while. If I'm watching a show or whatever, YouTube video or a stream or just doing some video editing or something like that, I'll have the phone there, and all of a sudden it'll buzz. I'm like, oh, it's fucking Rattata again. Like, fuck or
Weedles, and it's
Weedles everywhere, right? Yeah, Pidgeys and Spearows. I'm like,
no, it was if you're a producer or you're a game developer, it was like what's not a masterclass? It's case study of what not to do.
It just bleeds. For as interesting as we were talking about it a little while ago, and this is exactly, I think, what we were both touching on. Is like how many, what's the legs?
What's
on this
the life? Thing? And then they cut a feature.
Yeah, one of the core features of like being able to tell you like the hot or cold. Are you getting close to the thing?
Where's the hot cold mechanic? Yeah. Pure random.
Yeah.
It's randomly shitty. It's like randomly you get 1,000 Weedles.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And part of me used to say like, oh, you know what? I'm okay with getting a whole bunch of Weedles because ultimately I'll just turn into candies and I'll evolve or level up the ones that are there. The few that I push forward, right? The problem is I went to one of the parks south of here. There's one that's like a great playground. My daughter loves that one, so we walked over there. It turns out our neighbor goes like cross street goes there all the time, so we were hanging out there having a good time. And I kept walking by, and there was a Jigglypuff that kept popping up on the corner. I was like, oh, sweet. Could not get that thing to sit down. I threw like 40 raspberries at this fucking thing. It was red circle the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I spent 63 Pokeballs on it. And it just, like, I'd go do a loop, it'd go away. Go do a loop, it would respawn. I'm like, oh, I got it this time. And it was like a 250, something like that.
Jesus.
250 CP. Could not get this thing to land. 63 Pokeballs done. I'm out. Like, I literally had nothing left. And thankfully the park was a Pokestop, but like it was respawning faster than the Pokestop was recharging. I was done. It was brutal. So.
Yep. No, we're not saying Go's not awesome or not awesome. And we're not saying developers aren't working.
No, there's still a lot of cool things there.
It's just from our perspective of being in the industry and having done live service especially and game development, we just have a how do you say it? A very critical eye. And the video's dying. What's going on, Billy?
Uh-oh.
Is your internet dead?
Video still loading? It's showing it's okay.
No. Hit refresh. We're doing it live.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's why we feel for them too. And Jeff, it's the same thing. It's like they're screwed if they do or don't, but it's the communication. We learned about that pretty heavily. And it's also having a clear live service plan for the future. So yeah, it's they could have done it a bit better.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a look. See, I see a lot of people mentioning. Some folks are saying it's okay. I just want to double check. It did hiccup a little bit.
It did hiccup for us, but then that was a long time ago.
It recovered.
Well,
no, it's there. So, working on the phone. Sometimes it hiccups harder on mobile.
Punisher XXX, what's up?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anybody have any questions or anything? Throw them at us. I don't know if we missed them. Ask them. Guess.
Yeah.
Just do at TheFiddzz. Put my name in there so it pops up on the chat a lot clearer for us. Pokemon Go. I feel bad.
I still want it to be good.
Yeah,
but
that's why when we go to TwitchCon, we're gonna drop some lures and shit.
Yeah, I'm not done with it. I'm just not playing it as actively as I was. But that's true of a lot of games, right?
I find what's weird
goes and curls down.
Is I want it to be a walk around game, and I find what it is. It's a sit at a bar game. Because when I sit at a bar on White Ave, there's like 3 Pokestops within range and a gym, and Pokemon just keep rolling into me.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do anything. Whereas when I'm walking around a park with my dogs, one Weedle maybe pops out.
I think that's the problem. Is I think in a lot of more urban areas, maybe like you see like a downtown core of a city, like it's gonna have a ton of places, or like White Ave is a great place, where it's a great pub crawl kind of walk in general. It's very good for that kind of stuff. As you get more and more rural, it's like we're suburbs, right? And it's just a gong show.
Here's what the weird thing is. I almost feel like from a game standpoint, Pokemon was about getting out in the world to find the more crazy Pokemons, and they like reversed it to make it really easy. So yeah, no, I don't know. I'm getting killed in Pokemon Go is what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I think I see Rob's point there. I think it's more talking about if you're in the core of a city versus if you're out in suburbs where we are. And our suburb is technically like not.
It barely shows up on some people's GPS.
Yeah,
that's
like
how new
whenever I order from like Domino's or something like that, in the comments it's like, what are the special directions? Like, do you have to put a buzzer code or anything? I'm like, it's in this fucking district, because they go to the wrong one all the time, because Edmonton uses the grid system wrong.
Yep.
So
always. Well, we had it really good and then we screwed it up.
Yeah. There's a couple areas in the city that ruined it for everybody, and it's just super bad now. So.
Okay, so on to the questions. We actually have one, but it's all from people we work with. It's like, guys, what the fuck? So Jeff, who's your favorite programmer and why is it you? It's Tim Smith, and it's not you.
Oh shit!
So,
shots fired.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Actually, I think all the programmers are amazing at our work.
Yeah.
They're pretty.
I like Barrett's question. Here's a random question. Close to his heart and mine.
I'll answer this one.
How should producers and QA work, or best work together?
QA does whatever the hell I say.
Oh shit!
Just kidding.
You're lucky. Mandy has moved to so the other studio now.
The thing with QA and production is, I consider them both as servant roles to the game dev or support roles, however you want to call it. How do they work best together?
They're opposite sides of the same coin.
I rely on. So maybe I'll say it how I rely. I rely on my community.
Yeah.
I rely on my QA to. I'll be like, hey, we got a review coming up, or I have certain requests to not do your normal job, which is like play the game, find the bugs, blah.
Yeah.
It's more like, hey, I have these 3 specific things I need coverage on right now. Can you fit it in?
Yeah.
Or can you rearrange your priorities based on, because they're serving my team.
Yeah.
And my team might need, like, the designer will come up and be like, hey, I just implemented this quest, or I just implemented these 2 new functions to my level, or 2 new systems to my level. Can you get QA to hit them hard?
Yeah.
And they'll do that kind of stuff. It's a lot of reactive work. For as good as we put the plans in, it's being adaptable to the requests as they come, and I think that's true for both production and QA.
Yeah, I say I was thinking about like how I want to respond to this, and if it was going to be like, here's how I think the two work and how they should work, but it's more of like going back to the pure layer of what Barrett's asking, or Forged Pixels, for anyone who's not familiar why I keep saying Barrett. Barrett and I have worked together since ME2. I was a QA lead towards the end of the project, and he joined us, one of our kind of better bug filers. He did a lot of the crit path and everything. As I moved into production, I started to see the opposite side of the coin. That's why I say, to me, production and QA are two sides of the same coin. Production is ultimately, in my mind, meant to represent the customer in terms of like, what would you want in the game, and making sure that it all cohesively fits together. QA is then there to make sure that whatever the producer is asking of the team to develop and make sure is present, and that it all fits, is functional, is it high quality, and is it a second set of eyes that looks at it from the it's not my baby kind of look, right? Like, that was always, I think, our strength in Bioware QA for a number of years, and still is, I think, is the ability to say, well, the producer looks at something and says, I want to have something that fills this gap. And then usually a designer comes in and says, okay, well, I can make something that fills that role, or completes that loop, does this for the business, whatever the producer has laid out as like the core requirements, right? And then QA comes in and says, okay, but you hold that precious to your heart. That is your baby. You ideated that. You came up with why that should be there. I'm the thing that's there to beat the shit out of that. I'm going to beat your child senseless in front of you, and you have to sit there and watch it. And it sounds horrific, but it's to battle harden the child before it goes to war, essentially, is the way I always pitched it back to QA. Is like, our job is to beat the shit out of these things, so that when it gets out into the wild, it doesn't have these problems for the general population, right?
Yeah, it delivers on the promise that the designer wanted it to have.
Yeah, exactly. So how do they work best together? I think it's just in pairs. I work with an awesome QA team member on the project, or on the project, and on the feature that I work with. We sit down and, like, I play the game at minimum 3 times a week in a room that's not my desk. And we play and we take notes, and the QA takes notes, and we file back and forth, and then he'll send me the notes, and then I'll vet it and say, like, yes, this, or these things have to be bugs, these things have to become tasks. Some of the tasks I'll file. Sometimes it's the designer that file the task. Sometimes it's the development director or whoever. And the QA will file the bugs, then I'll usually go in and reprioritize them and say, like, okay, there's 10 bugs here. This is the this is the showstopper. Moving, this is getting priority now. Like, we're stopping work on everything else, because if this isn't fixed, this is a broken window. It prevents everything else from being evaluated. So it's really just a close partnership. I think if you guys ever meet a guy named Julian Gagnon, he's a great guy. He's been on our team for Dragon Age DLC, and then also now on this project. And I rely on him. He's the eyes and ears when I can't be there. That's the way I think of it. Is like, I'll play it at a surface level a lot of times, and I'll dive deep on a certain feature on any given day and go, yeah, this looks like it's doing what we want it to do or not. I'll chat with the designer and say, like, look, dude, it's doing this, it's not doing this, whatever it may be. But then QA comes back and says, like, here's a comprehensive bug list of, like, where it's actually functionally broken or not doing the things you thought it would do. And I think I feel like I
have a different relationship with my QA Catherine, my QA lead, because she has like a team under her that hits our levels. I feel like I'm more of a gatekeeper, so I'll set the rules for at this stage of development. Here's what you can test. At this stage of development, here's what you can test. And she'll keep poking me, be like, hey. Can I go to the next level? Can we go to the next level? Can I unleash the guys to the next level?
Yeah, we definitely we have that as well. It's weird because for me, I think, well, Catherine's on the ground in Edmonton with you. Julian's on the ground with me, but technically the lead of the thing I work on is off in Montreal, and so it's one of those unfortunate, like, out of sight, out of mind. Like, I relate more to the person on the site. So.
The feature I'm working on is so spanning that QA is like an extra set of eyes for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's like we couldn't sit in a room together and go over it. Like, I need her to be running a thing, and then I'm running a thing, and then we get together afterwards. and her team like getting unleashed. Oh, Lady Face Shred, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for the host.
Dear Lawrence,
everybody
how's it going,
else,
man?
Cypher.
How's it going? Welcome.
Tons of new people just popped in. Loving it. Can you scroll up? There was a question above.
Yes, sorry. We ramble. I ramble a lot. I'm known for this.
What do QAs do on a daily basis? Okay, I'll do that one
There's
next.
a fair bit of writing.
We'll come to Shackles after, because I feel that's the longer one. M Gamers is a quick one. I love controller support for PC games.
Yeah.
I feel that where games are now and how ubiquitous, ubiquitous, is that the right word?
Ubiquitous, yeah.
How ubiquitous console gaming is, that PC games need to have a controller, because most games I like mouse keyboard, but some games on PC I'm like, I need the goddamn controller.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Basically,
like Dark Souls,
basically 100% right. Yeah, exactly. Like there's some games that are on the PC, but you can tell we're born and bred on a console, right? And Dark Souls is a great example of that. You may choose to play on the PC for better frame rate, better textures, whatever it may be, better performance overall, but
better streaming experience as a streamer.
Maybe,
for me.
Yeah, it could be, right. Whatever your setup may be, but at the same time, more and more that ubiquity that you're talking about is people have big ass towers or even just little ATX boxes that sit in their home entertainment system, and like we got a 55-inch screen here, and my plan is to ultimately have a PC that sits right there, and it will still be me with a controller. It's just a more powerful console.
It's just people are used to controllers now, and controllers are so good. I feel they have the right amount of buttons, they have the right the double stick and everything like that.
And I see even just Liv saying things like, PC and mouse for FPS. That's a preference, right? For me, PC and mouse on FPS is just like, okay, let's die a lot. It's not going to work, right? It's whatever works for you.
But I just feel like it I think games releasing on PC, if they're also releasing on console, should definitely support a controller. And if they're not releasing on console, then it's depending on how is your game going to be played. Like something like Super Meat Boy.
Yes.
It's a PC game.
But
goddamn, use a controller, right?
Yeah,
like,
you use a mouse and keyboard on that.
I don't even think it has mouse.
Or
no, it does have.
It does.
It does have
mouse. Terrible.
And they tell you 3 times with a trophy, like, no, really.
Just don't
plug
do
a
this.
controller.
Yeah, like get fucked if you don't, right?
What was the QA question?
How much writing's involved? Sorry, one real quick point. As
Fine, whatever. Bill.
M Gamers said, "Hey, look, I've injured hands, and this is interesting because I think it was yesterday. I was watching Starbuck 2190, who's fairly well known within the Mass Effect community. She recently had a wrist injury, and so she's been having to take time off, and so she came back recently, a little earlier than I think a lot of us expected, but she was playing with a controller, and she was playing PC still, but she was playing with a controller. And I was like, I immediately asked her, I'm like, can you tell me which mod you're using? It looks great. I lost that battle. I made a point on ME2 and ME3 saying, look, we already have the assets built technically, because we have the 360 assets, but they're built at the wrong scale. And scale form, as much as we used it in ME2 and ME3, it wasn't set up quite correctly in some ways. And so it wasn't as simple as just take the art asset, overlay it, and it worked. It was like scaled incorrectly and didn't rescale for 16 by 10 properly and everything else. So it never worked, but some pioneering fans went in there and said, look, we can build this, and they did. And I'm very much looking forward to, as soon as I get a PC, I will boot up the PC version of ME3MP with this mod and play it, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's so like to everybody's point in the chat, you all have a different opinion.
M Gamers is the developer. There it is. Okay, well, thank you, M Gamers. Amazing. You're the best, because I'm very much looking forward to using it.
Amazing. I used it when I did my playthrough.
Nice. Yeah. I know Fernando at work was saying the same thing. He's like, I'm playing it, like on a Surface, a Surface Pro 3 or whatever with
for the Mass Effect games. It's control. You need a controller.
I find so. Yeah.
But for everybody that's posted something, they all have their own ways they like to play. Gamer chair, couch, mouse, keyboard, and so I feel, yes, any PC game should have controller support so that people can play how they want.
Play how you want. So. Exactly. So.
Back
so
there's
a question about writing though.
There's a lot of writing. QA actually has probably more writing than writing.
So Rodich again isn't here. One of the things we try to do, to a degree, it only works to a certain point, but we try to templatize. I don't know how, like, take templates.
Make templates.
Much
template, very wow.
Yeah, exactly. For a lot of the repetitive things, right? So if you know that technically it's very verbose, but you wanted to make sure that if you wrote a bug, if say EA QA or Microsoft QA back in the day on ME1 was going to be the one to regress the bug, meaning that they would take it back and verify that the fix that had been provided by the developer is actually good and good, ready to rock. we'd often do the thing where we'd say, okay, someone like Barrett Rodich or myself would file the bug and go, okay, we need to be continuously looking for new bugs and keep filing them. Our repro steps of how to reproduce the bug need to be very verbose and very, very clear so that we could hand it off to someone in Romania or India or wherever the outsourcing QA may lie, and hand it back to them and say, good, you got to do this, and you're going to run it. And so we started saying, okay, like this bug may take 25 steps, but the first 10 steps are, you know, they're common across all bugs. Boot the system up, boot this, you know, do this.
Yeah.
And we had little tags that we could even just say, like, literally, like, Control C, Control V, just swap, like, PS3 or Xbox 360 and all this. And that was critical because, yes, you basically, at the end of every project on QA, you feel like you're developing carpal tunnel. Yeah. Without question. Like, every year that I worked on QA, I felt like just nasty, like, degrading tendon feeling in my wrists. I was like, oh, this is horrible. And then I'd go, and my wife, thankfully, is a nurse, I'd, like, steal some of her, like, tension socks that she used for her ankles. Yep. I would put them on my wrists and then put an ice pack there and just, like, stick them in there and be like, okay, it's just going to hold ice against me for X amount of hours. And yep. So yeah, there's a ton of writing. But
and now that the project's starting to roll out way more video replays. Screenshots are pretty common, but capturing your video,
that's all new. Yeah.
Biometrics, meaning you can see the play session. So
biometrics is a very specific name to what we use. Biometrics has a real world use or name.
Telemetry.
Telemetry is what it is. In-game development telemetry. Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, good night, Ladyfish Red. Thanks for stopping by. Developing controller overlay for those videos. But the controller changes like every week on game projects. So,
you need to update that every other day. Every day right now it is. So,
Stardust asked one, but there was one farther up. Go up, Billy. I think it was Meta.
Remember to at us at TheFiddzz or at ehlien.
Okay, so
the TheFiddzz is easier because it'll pop. Right? Sorry, I missed.
Does it ever burn you out doing what you love as well as not for your job, but I guess for your hobby?
I have a different answer now than I did probably 5 years ago. I think.
What is it?
I think like 5 years ago, I always said no, absolutely not. Does not burn me out. Now I find it's not that it burns me out, but I find more specific opportunities to detach. So like right now, working on Andromeda, I come home and I play Destiny. Yeah. And I don't play Mass Effect 3. I tried to play Mass Effect 3 when I started my streaming channel. It was really about playing a lot of ME3. It had a couple problems. One is just the fan base on the 360 was diminishing quite badly, and there's a few other issues there. But it was more of I needed to not do the thing I was doing already for 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours.
Get into something else.
I needed to do something different. And Destiny's just different enough and enough of what I love that it works.
For me, I feel the same way. I just feel like I have to make a mental choice to disconnect. It's not good or bad or anything. And I have tons of other hobbies, like music and camping and fishing and stuff that I'm pretty good at disconnecting nowadays. So playing games it's always been my favorite pastime.
Yeah, exactly. If I can't imagine a future where gaming is not my number one pastime, honestly. Like the only thing that comes close to it right now is streaming, which is still playing
streaming's
games.
Streaming's still fun.
And developing like video game prototypes. That's the other thing. So it's like even the things I'm using to detach from the other thing is so close.
I think Rob's got a really good one. What's your feeling on attempts to educate the public on misunderstood topics in game dev? Example, negative reactions to day one patches, worth the effort to illuminate, or do you throw up your hands in frustration because people just won't understand and listen? That's a pretty easy one to answer. No, it's totally worth it. You still throw up your hands, but the best way to win an argument is to just drop facts on people. It's be like, here's some truth bombs. What the fuck are you going to do about it? It's like, why do I have day one DLC or day one patch? It's like, well, here's the reason. Oh, okay. It's very hard for people to logically then be mad at something when they know the facts, even if they're trying to be ignorant.
Yes. And that's the thing is a lot of it is
you'll start to see the
pure ignorance, right? It's someone will make a comment like, they're doing it to milk every penny out of you. Well, day one patches are almost always free. I think there's been a couple instances where there's day one DLC, But again, that's DLC that's created after the fact.
If you understand the production.
Game, right?
So for the specific example, we obviously think very highly of it, trying to educate people because we do this podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a really big part of what started the podcast, is like going like, holy fuck, the level of education on these topics is so lacking. And it's even something I used to have this conversation with Casey when I was in QA on ME2. This is like early ME2 days, or sort of early from when I joined the project. And we used to have this discussion, and I remember Corey Gasper and I had this discussion too, is that, you can't necessarily expect folks to understand all these things, and we can't expect them to understand it or suddenly give us more sympathy because we do say, this, right? Like, we can't say like, oh, now that you understand what the realities of game development are, suddenly you'll forgive us for X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
That's not the reason to do it. It's not to suddenly get sympathy. It's more to build understanding of like, oh, so you don't like go and start a flame war on the internet.
Yeah. Because
you make horrible, assumptions, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It starts, I think, to Rob's point, it starts with the, oh god, this again. Yeah. And it immediately goes into, okay, so how can we fix this? Like, how your brain starts immediately turning around, like, what can I say to them that will show them the reality of it, the facts of it, and remove the emotion from it?
And there's also moments where it's like, yeah, they just don't want to hear the truth, and
some people want to watch the world burn.
There you go. So screw them. All you can do is give as much fact as possible, and then before you get frustrated, I just tune people out.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Okay, see you later.
It's like anything. We talked about like constructive criticism and everything else many times on the podcast. I think you want to have a certain amount where it's a dialogue and it's constructive, but as soon as you have to repeat yourself 2-3 times, it's clear that it's not sinking in. And it's diminishing returns now, so it's best to walk away from that conversation, let them be what they're going to be, and focus on the folks that are going to listen and have a good constructive conversation. So
scroll up. I think there was one from Rob. Nope. Up. Oh. Nope. Down.
YouTube.com. Oh, here's one there.
Yes, that one. Stardust. It wasn't Rob. It was Rob's better half.
Hey-o.
Much better half. Do you do things in your spare time to learn more advanced technology or sharpen your skills? I assume meaning like sharpen your DD/producer skills.
I used to do a lot of reading. There's a stack of books just off camera here
that have never been opened.
They're in pristine shape, but I take good care of my books. No, there's one about leadership right there at the very top. There's one about like C++ for dummies. There's Gamedev. There's Unreal Tools. There's a book that's on my Kindle upstairs right now. And it's like How to Get to Yes. It's just this idea of like using psychology to better understand the problems that you're facing and how you can resolve conflict resolution, things like that. So
how to sell somebody a vacuum.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, take what seems like an impossibly boring situation, and you still have to resolve this, right? Like, at the end of the day, vacuums still need to be sold. So here's how these encyclopedia guys. Yeah.
If you want us to go back to the bottom of the chat, just so you can see. So back in the 60s, 70s, whatever, they were selling the encyclopedias, and they were $300 a pop, which was like almost, a week, 2 weeks worth of paycheck for somebody. Mm-hmm. Anyways, how they would do this, I read this about, it was 47, it took them, if you can get somebody to say yes, was it 27 times, they're very likely to say yes to when you actually sell, like do the pitch to sell. So they would, you answer the door and be like, hey, I'm selling encyclopedias, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, no, I don't want an encyclopedia. Obviously, they're like, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that all children should have an education?
Yeah. It's misdirection, right?
You get them into the like, well, do you believe that everybody should be educated on blah blah, and you just get them to keep saying yes to answers that you can't say no to. Yeah. And then eventually, when you're like, oh, so do you want to buy one of these books? And you're just like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. It's all
because now you've gotten them into this rhythm of saying yes and understanding, right? And then, I've seen it. It's actually there's a comical manipulate people. There's a very comical version of that.
That's related to producing.
No.
That was just a weird aside.
But it is, it is sadly part of our jobs is that you have to get someone to see the positive of why something's going to happen rather than the negative Like, why do I have to do a demo? Well, it's going to do all these things.
Yep.
Fighting that battle on that front, usually not going to be very good. But it means you can go with the idea of like, dude, if we focus on your content for this demo, that means it's going to the top first.
Yeah.
And
the highest priority on VFX and audio.
Yeah. So you have to find what's important to that person and be able to like make sure that they understand that. So I saw a point actually real quick about I lost it. I totally lost it. But sorry, the example I was gonna give for what you were talking about with the encyclopedia salesman is exactly that. It's, if you guys ever watched the show Friends, which I think a few people did back in the day, there's an episode where Joey's at home and Teller, or no,
Teller?
sorry, Penn shows up. Penn Jillette shows up, and they both technically are there, I think. But Penn shows up, and he's an encyclopedia salesman, and he's like, he does exactly that. He gets them to yes, right, and asks them the questions a few times, and he's like, do you ever get to the conversations where like all your friends are like super smart and you can't answer? And he's like, yeah, and he does exactly that example. Exactly. And it's funny because like, I think most folks who know Penn and Teller see them as like magicians, but they've I think often redescribe themselves as more of like illusionists /
debunkers.
Yeah, they're really good about showing that it's more about manipulation and misdirection rather than true. It's not magic, right?
One of Teller's most famous bits, and Penn's there too, but Penn has always said it's like, this is Teller's bit, is the invisible cigarette. It shows how he palms, drops, like it goes through the 7 steps, but they show you how he they're like, this is how you palm, and this is how you do it, and they go through the skit, and then at the end it's like, oh, but it's actually over on the other side of the table, and you're like, so wait, they showed me how to do the trick, but then I still didn't get it.
And they still had master class level of getting it at a more meta level.
I would love to see their live show in Vegas.
Yes, I would agree.
Take a look.
Do we miss anything here? Again, guys, try to use, if you can, use at TheFiddzz for any major questions. That way we can spot it real quick.
Probably got time for like one more. I don't know what people are even talking about. Somebody's drinking wine.
Yeah.
Trumping's
happening.
America great again.
Yeah.
If you watch Friends, it's on Netflix. Have you watched Friends, Billy?
No, my wife has burned through, like, she has all 10 seasons on DVD.
You know what I'm waiting for?
DVDs barely work anymore.
That Gilmore Girls.
No, that's on Netflix, and she's been watching it every single day. I was gonna like
that Gilmore Girls rerun.
I've been doing
not rerun.
Oh, the remake.
The special 6 episodes.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. No, I literally had to watch it. I literally had to watch it yesterday for like 2 hours while I held the baby, and my wife.
Friends or Gilmore Girls?
Gilmore Girls.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
So good.
So bad. So bad.
Good.
Rory was breaking up with Dean. It was terrible. Real heart-wrenching.
Don't worry, she'll get back together, and then she'll break up with him again. But then she'll date a new guy who's just like him, and then break up with him.
Oh yeah, they all
and then
look
they'll
the
always
same.
get bailed out by a grandfather's money.
Yep.
So
I've learned this.
What's my?
I wish I didn't know this.
What's my favorite? Why is everybody asking me what my favorite sandwich? Oh right, we're just using my name.
Yeah.
I was like, this is very directed at me.
Favorite sandwich.
Favorite sandwich? I like the Reuben. Easily, Reuben or nope. Reuben or nope. Reuben or like a club.
Yeah, I'd say I love avocado in sandwiches. I think they're great. There's I can't remember if it even has avocado anymore, but there's a place in Edmonton called the Bothy. It's like a whiskey bar.
I know that place.
But if you there's one just north of the studio. So oftentimes when we have folks in town, we bring them there, and it's a great place to have lunch.
Yep.
I love going there, and they have one called the Bothy Club. I think it's.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a club sandwich with a fried egg on it, with like really well done, like
that sounds good.
Really great toast. It's seriously my favorite sandwich of all time. And I keep telling my wife we got to go, but of course every time I remember to bring her, I'm like, oh yeah, you're pregnant. Oh yeah, you're breastfeeding. Oh yeah.
Actually, wait, what's the sandwich I made on stream? The Edmonton cheesesteak.
Oh, that was pretty good.
That was actually fucking really good.
That was pretty tasty, man. That was pretty solid.
Absolute do or die go to gaming snack. I like chips, dill pickle chips.
Dill pickle's a good choice.
5-cent candies, but only 5-cent candies that I have picked specifically out of a thing at the Max or the 7-Eleven.
Like the cherry bombs and shit, right? Peach slices, man.
Love it.
I really hate snacking while gaming. It drives me nuts. Like, all my controllers need to not have grease
I find
on them.
I eat less when I'm gaming than when I do when I'm watching TV because I'm not bored.
Yep. And I find that I'm so like OCD about not having like oils and stuff like that on my controller. Like, these things basically get wiped down after every gaming session. And I was that kid who just like, if my cousins came over, I think I've told the story of like the one who like ate chocolate cake and put it in the N64.
Gear obsession.
No. It's stupid. I can't.
You're like the guy who has a drum set.
Yeah.
And is like, whoa.
Yeah.
8-year-old, don't hit that.
Don't touch that.
Don't touch that.
Don't touch that shit.
People always ask, they'll be over and they'll have the kids over or something. And they'll be like, can he play it? It's like, fuck yeah, it's a drum set. Nobody will ever hit it harder than me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
have you seen what Blair does in YouTube videos? Yeah.
First of all, I want to.
So for my snack, I'd just say it's Coke Zero.
Oh, it's Coke Zero. Yeah, mine's the Coke and whiskey.
I ran out of my cherry Coke Zero already.
Rob Tachi, I've had a Carnegie Hall or a Carnegie Deli Reuben, so I know what I'm talking about. Brat. Don't mess with me. It's $35. It was the size of a plate.
Yeah.
So I guess the last two we'll do Kazi's and Shackles. Kazi, did you find it difficult to go from Inquisition to Andromeda? Yes. Did you?
I felt it.
I'll explain why.
Yeah. Yes, but I'll let you go first, and then I'll go into mine. Mine's a slightly different shift.
It's different. How do you say it?
Cultures.
Different production, very different cultures.
Yeah.
Because the leads teams are different. The production processes we were switching.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we were using different software. I got technically bumped up a level, so I had a lot more responsibility than I was used to, and I was driven to produce more. So it was hard. And then after like 2 months, I was like, oh, I get it now. And I'm in the mode, and I know the people I'm working with, and I know what they want, and I know how to deliver on this, and then it was fine. So fuck story points. Do things in estimate days, please.
Fuck yes.
But yeah, how was your transition?
So mine's weird because I actually had a rough transition early on from ME3 to DAI because I had worked with the same team roughly for 7 years at that point. And actually that came up in like one of my performance reviews. Like, you've had great success with this franchise, with this group of people, even though you said you want to stay with either Mass Effect or the new IP, you have to go with this one. And at first it was a very rough conversation with me in the studio, and I was like, what do you mean I have to? And they're like, because we need to see, is this just because of like everything you've surrounded yourself with, or is this actually you? And I was like, that's a fair assessment. Okay, that's good. And so I sort of embraced it once it was pitched to me that way. But I had a rough early go because I was kind of, they had to wait for certain things to line up on DAI, with some shuffling around of the team members to make room for me to actually join the team. So I took on like weird things like build management and next gen development, like when no one knew what the PS4 and the Xbox One were. I was like playing with like these weird ass like ham radio style kits that were coming in as, you know, debug units. Yeah. And so I got to see a bunch of weird shit. But then again, it's all the culture shift. That's the thing, is like the ME3 team, the Mass Effect franchise team worked a very specific way. Going to DAI was a very different experience, very different processes, very different leadership styles.
Yeah, it's probably harder for you to go ME to Inquisition than the other way.
Yeah, but then the weird thing is, I thought, well, now that we're finishing DAI, I took a few weeks off at the end of DAI's live service, or near the end of it, to go do my sabbatical.
Just left me alone.
Just left Blair to run
me
the
and
show.
Jeff to try to figure this shit out.
Weird. With a book of shit that just didn't work, apparently.
Nope.
It sort of worked at one point.
Almost.
Didn't work at the right time. But then when I went from DAI to MEA, I thought, well, this should be a smoother transition. But I actually forgot that it wasn't the same team anymore. Yeah. The team that worked on ME3 is actually the new franchise team for the most part, with a lot of other folks. But it was a whole new it was like a third culture, so it was interesting and different. But
it's hard.
There's a lot there, so
it's usually a 2-month ramp up, I think, for most people.
Yeah.
There was Shackles. What's the best way to handle a leak?
Fuck.
10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Not touch.
Go play video games somewhere else and ignore the internet for a while.
I think from a company standpoint, how I would handle leaks is no comment, shut everything down that you can possibly get your hands on.
Yeah, and I used to think
like
of like
issue like takedowns.
That's the way I used to operate. I used to say like, "Oh my God, it's out," and especially as QA, because you were always worried in QA that you were the one that was gonna fault the blame, take the fall for this.
Oh no,
right?
I don't even mean
every
like
single time,
how
right?
it's legal. I mean,
oh no, but like so, I was always
as
like,
a company
shut it down,
yeah.
like right. But then over time, it was Casey who imparted this wisdom on me in ME3's situation. So if anyone's not familiar, ME3, we were posting an internal alpha of a build that had a whole whackload of just weird debug shit built into it, and it had a scratch set of notes that had like an ending to the game. It was not the final ending. It never was meant to be the final ending. It just was some scratch notes, and it hit the surface because someone in Russia had gotten a hold of the game. They had access to Unreal, and they cracked it open. They found the data files, and I was like, we gotta kill it. We gotta kill it with fire, right? And Casey's like, you don't touch it. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, any action actually confirms it's real. And I was like, that's fair. And it was like, it was a different play. It was a totally different strategy. But I realized it was, you can shut it down and be like, you get it out of there. But the problem with the internet now, I think this is where Casey was right. Is
things
that,
live forever.
Exactly. There's the internet archive sites. There's like everything. Someone's cached it already. So all it takes is someone, especially with things like Reddit now, all it takes is one person to go click save as, and repost it and repost it. And
I think
it circulates on mirror sites.
My first point is more right than my second one, which is you don't comment, you don't say shit.
You just,
unless it's something
you can sometimes leverage it.
So
right?
Which we did with the Zither.
Mm-hmm.
Zither leaked through a texture patch, and more messages below, Billy.
I've heard.
And so we're like, okay, this sucks. How do we do this?
Mm-hmm.
Team pitched, it's April Fool's, and we're like, yep, let's sell him as April Fool's joke. And then we launched him like the week after that. I thought that was pretty funny. So it's they're different. There's different ways to handle it. I don't know. I just think you don't comment.
It's tough because you want to correct it, and it goes to that point of like educating and wanting to dispel the rumors or dispel the myths and get that
anything
out there.
you say will be used against you.
Exactly. It's literally like that whole
no matter what.
spiel of like anything you say will be used in the court.
Yep.
Used against you in the court of law. We're getting tight on time, so I saw M Gamers asked, "How did we get into game development? When did you know we were destined to be game dev?" We actually did that. I think it was.
Rob posted the link.
Yeah, I was gonna say perfect. We did an episode on that. It's
check
episode
it out.
2.
Pretty funny. Well, not funny,
but yeah, it goes into a lot of detail.
Interesting. I don't know. I think we're funny.
I hope it's interesting. But yeah, we did an entire episode on that.
Gamer has another one.
Yeah.
How long do you think a game should be supported after launch? I think as long as it is making money.
I think it's
that it can afford to support.
Yeah, there's different angles to this. I really
well
hate,
maybe not that way.
No, and I was gonna say, I know on like DAI this came up a lot, right?
Yeah.
There was a comment that was taken out of context in an interview before we shipped the game. That said, "Oh, they're gonna support it till like literally 365 days from the day after
longer
launch."
than the other thing, yeah.
And that's not usually the case. Even if you look at ME3, the live service, I think, technically shut down in the truest form at day 363.
Yeah.
Because of the way the calendar worked, right? And so I hate putting a arbitrary number around that. I think as long as the community is healthy, as long as the business is healthy, that is a real part of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not just about making money, but it is about making money. And if
you got to pay the people making the content, right?
It's everything from paying people to make more content. It's everything to cover costs of like servers.
Well, it's also
patches,
then when you're feeling like you want to shut it down, is you're not shutting it down maybe because the community's not there anymore, but you're shutting it down because like, no, we're rolling people onto the new hotness.
Yeah.
And people want to also get off of projects, right?
Yeah.
As a developer, you want to see the end line, so you can because you're building towards it, you're putting so much creative energy into it that you eventually want it to be like, and I'm done, and I'm moving on to awesome new thing.
I'm really curious to see like a team. It sounds like No Man's Sky is about to do the same thing, but with Destiny, it's a game I love to pieces, but even within their structure, I was listening to Luke Smith, their creative director, talking on a charity stream last night. It's about how their team is like segmented and things like that, and you can tell that there's like a group that is live service, just running like the day-to-day, like making sure that Jure shows up on, Thursday nights,
Yep.
and then he goes away on Saturday mornings or whatever, or Sunday mornings. And then there's another group that's doing like content pack A and then content pack B, and then like the big expansions, and those things are all interesting and fun. I like doing a lot of those things, keeping the game alive and doing really interesting pieces. But at the same time, in the back of your mind that as a studio, in order to continue to operate, you're going to have another big tentpole piece off to the side. And so
when do you start ramping them up? When do you start moving people onto it because you want to ship in a certain time? And is the project even ready for those people to jump on?
Exactly. We've talked about that a little bit in one of our shows as well, just like, the timelines of how these things happen. But I think it's also just remembering that sometimes you go to a team and you go, hey, we have this great plan for live service after this thing ships, right? ME3 was kind of this, right? DAI had a bit of this too. We have this great plan of what we want to do from the day we launch until X period of time. The problem is some of your most talented people, some of your more junior people, any mix of these people will be asked to come do this. Some of them will come back and go like, no, I really had my eyes set on this other thing because I think I can be a bigger win for the team there. Instead of putting me on live service to do this thing where it's prototypey and cool and fun, go put me on the next iteration of the game, or go put me on the new project, or make sure that my hand is traveling back and forth between space and time at different zoom levels. It is so weird.
And I also think a lot of it has to do with, as a live service, you need to be constantly reacting. I definitely do not think Gearbox had any idea how popular their DLC would be for Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
And that's why they kept fucking making it.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. They added an entire set of 3 DLCs after the season pass ended, right?
Way more, yeah. So
and just a clarification, MGamers more like bug fixes and stuff like that. That's the bug fixes is really tough because and Jeff can maybe even comment on this too, but for every bug you fix in live service, you're probably introducing 1 to 2 more.
Yep.
It's horse trading at that
point,
and it's just
calls get made by very senior people, probably your EP, your tech director, maybe game director, because you are now on platforms and you cannot compromise having been certified by Sony, Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not a simple just, hey, we're bored, we want to move on, or it's a simple fix. Actually, the one thing I loved about listening to Luke Smith again last night was they had this one thing where they show at the beginning of the Vault of Glass, which you'll see eventually as we go through the raids in Destiny, but there's these spires that form at the beginning of the raid, and it's like literally just a public entrance to get into the raid, but they're all off center. They don't perfectly encapsulate the little nipple, so to speak, that you stand on to make things happen, and it's all because of a weird code offset. And they're like, by the time we finally even could entertain the idea of fixing this, it was too late in the process. Then we got after the fact, we're like, well, we can technically patch a DLC. Sony and Microsoft both hate, this is not NDA breaking, it is just a bit of knowledge, they both hate and even have certain policy restrictions on if you can patch a DLC.
Yep.
You can patch the main game. Patching DLC is considered a what the fuck are you doing?
Patches and DLCs are very different things in the eyes of both developers and the consoles. So it's tricky. It's very tricky waters to be treading in.
Jeff raised a very good point. Releasing patches is not free. It's actually crazy expensive.
Yep.
You could buy very nice cars for the cost that it costs.
Yeah,
that's about as far as I can go with it. But yes, they are expensive to release. They are expensive. That's just the monetary payment to the publisher to say make this go live.
The publisher has to pay
QA and
servers and pushing out the bandwidth and stuff, right?
Exactly,
it's expensive for everybody. So
it's crazy.
But as developers and as Sony, Microsoft, and Steam, I'm sure too, everybody wants to give the player the best experience possible.
Yes, that's always the motivation. I think that's the best way to go in. I watched a great video the other day. It was Casey Neistat, and he's saying and this actually came up recently for us in the team. Someone said you have to go in assuming the best. The person's going in with the best intentions, not the worst, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you're arguing with somebody over a feature or a path for the direction of the game or tiny part of the game or whatever, the person across from you isn't trying to sink the project.
No, exactly, right.
Everybody's just trying to make the best
project pays their bills and everything else, right? So it's all in their best interest.
Everybody's trying to make the best thing possible.
I think this is the thing that's been lacking from the internet for a few years, and I think it developed over the last probably 10 or so years now, where it became easier to shit on something than to love it and to care for it and to want it to succeed. that's not as entertaining and fun, so to speak, on the internet as just shitting on it, right?
Yeah.
There's entire YouTube channels that critics like make their living now being YouTube critics shitting on stuff. And I think that really comes down to that it's bred a bit of an idea that go in with the worst assumptions, go in with this negative viewpoint that like developers are trying to fuck you. Like I hear people say like EA is trying to fuck you, Activision's the evil empire, they're trying to fuck you. That's not a good business model.
Yeah.
These companies are billion-dollar companies for a reason, not because they're trying to fuck you, because they are trying to deliver you a product or a service that you will enjoy and hopefully want to tell your friends to go buy and enjoy as well, right?
Even the lazy developer side of things, where it's like, no, there's zero lazy developers.
Oh God, yeah.
If there is, they don't last long because everybody's trying to rule at their job.
Yes.
Everybody's trying to make an awesome thing, and it's just
I think that's the thing to try to remember. If you take one thing from our podcast, I hope it's that in all my years in development, I'm now at 11 and change. Oh yeah, almost 11 and change now. I don't think I've ever gone and said so and so is lazy. Because you see how hard everybody works. You see that people put in hours from like 8 a.m. till midnight some nights, and they do this repeatedly because they want whatever they're working on to just be amazing and delight you, right? It's surprise and delight is like the thing that you hear out in the studio a lot, is we want this thing to surprise and delight, and that's the motivation generally. So
I guess finally to end on M Gamer's thing, he's like, well, what do you? I guess the real question is what is the opinion, our opinion, because our company's opinions might be totally different. Of people changing stuff after support's ended, or even as support's going on, like mods and or bug fixes and texture packs and all that kind of stuff. I think do what you want, but don't expect us to fix it, or don't expect us to support it.
Yeah, this comes up a lot actually. There's an example that came up in DAI where someone went
changes. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Someone made a really cool texture pack for hairs, and they looked great.
Yep.
But they blew up the game. Like they literally broke the game, and then, of course, the person who made that mod didn't deal with the flack for that.
Yeah.
EA and BioWare dealt with it.
If you install
the DAI
a mod
team was like, we didn't do this.
If you install a mod and it corrupts all your saves,
that's unfortunately on you, right? Like, all we can say is that we support what we've released ourselves. Now, do I like that people go and mod stuff? Yeah. I love watching, like, there's a whole bunch of folks on Twitter that I learned of and started following exclusively because they made cool mods for our games. It's how people get into
game dev a lot too. They make the mods. No, so modding community is amazing.
The entire DICE team started that way.
Like give it as a gamer and as a person who makes games. I think it's really awesome. People care enough to mod stuff and work on add things to the thing you made. But like I said, don't expect us to support it in a professional way.
We can't in any official capacity.
Download it and play it.
Like
if it's a cool quest or something.
Very, very much looking forward to checking out the controller.
I used that. So so anyways, I need to get out of here.
I gotta get ready for another game. I'm worried that it starts in 14 minutes and I didn't count for
you didn't take a nap.
That so anyway,
I'm gonna fly on out of here.
Thank you so much everybody for coming and checking out the podcast. This is a little bit more loose and freeform than we've done in the past. Let us know what you think.
It's been kind of the trend.
Yeah, we're getting there. We usually have like a rough topic that we want to talk about. This time is like free form, but
I like the questions.
I like it. I think it's more interactive. It's more fun. If you guys like it too, be sure to let us know. Once it goes up on YouTube and whatnot, just leave notes in the comments. Tweet at us. All
this kind of stuff. Tell me something to play.
Our Twitter accounts are down below. Our Twitch accounts are there as well.
Don't follow us for hosts. Thanks to everything. All that fun stuff. We will catch you guys next week.
Yeah. Blair's at 575. Let's get him to 600 tonight.
Let's do it. The 20 people here are already all following.
Totally following. So, but anyway, yes. Hope you have a great night, and we'll catch you on the next podcast. So.
Thanks, everybody.